Hello Orchid friends, welcome back to my channel. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day, staying healthy and staying safe. Today I'm showing you my Tolumnia Snow White. This is one of the 4 Tolumnias in my collection. It's been a while since I have done a Tolumnia video, so I will use this opportunity to go into my overall care for my Tolumnias, as well as show you how this orchid progressed and performed, and then just some general questions that I have received from other orchid hobbyists regarding Tolumnias and what I think the answer would be. So this video is a little bit of everything about Tolumnia, and hopefully this would give you some insight if you are new to orchid or if you're not familiar with Tolumnia. But first of all, let me just say Tolumnia is a small/miniature orchid type. It would never get super large. It will continue to grow new fans as it ages, and it will retire or yellow the older leaves. So it has its own rejuvenation process. So it would never get super big that you have to repot. At least not for the 4 Tolumnias in my collection anyways. They have been giving me new growths and new fans, but it was never unmanageable. They're also very inexpensive, and the reason for that is they're grown from seeds, they're hybridized over and over. That's one of the reasons why you will see so many different varieties out there. There's something for everyone, I'm sure. And because it only takes 1 to 2 years for this type of orchid to become fully mature to be able to flower. So the business overhead of raising this kind of orchid is a lot lower, and that reflects on the prices. Anywhere, you will get an orchid for anywhere between $10 to $15. That's pretty much the reasonable price range for a Tolumnia. But I can tell you, back in Asia, these kind of Tolumnias would usually go between $3 and maybe $6. Like $3 to $5 is the regular price tag that I had seen when I went over there. But here, everything is slightly more expensive, but that has to do with, just cost of labor and just, electricity, things like that. Okay, so this type of orchid, especially this one, is a very reliable bloomer. I only have one in my collection that is still small, because those are the 4th one that's not blooming really is the side shoots of an older orchid, but the older part was trimmed off, so they're still kind of considered young right now, what's left. So that's the 4th one. But otherwise, my red sun, and then my I think the other one is called something fantastic, I can't remember, but they're all really reliable bloomers. Another interesting aspect about Tolumnia is that from the nodes of the flower spikes, they usually will give you secondary spikes. So if you have Tolumnia that are in bloom, please wait and don't cut your flower spike just yet. After the first, first round of bloom finishes, don't cut your flower spike just yet, because you may still get secondary spikes from the nodes. This has always been the case for this one and for my red sun. So definitely try to wait and don't just cut them right away. They don't have fragrance. I'm yet to come across a Tolumnia with fragrance, but the variety and how the skirt of these, or lip of these flowers will look is just amazing. There's so many different kinds that you can choose. So something for everyone, I'm sure. In terms of care, this orchid is still in a 8-ounce cup container with drainage holes at the bottom, and then I use another 8-ounce container to double cup it, because that would allow me to go between semi-hydro and traditional setup depending on the season or depending on the humidity that I see in my environment. If I give it 1/4 cup of water in summertime, usually there's enough water to go into the inner cup through the drainage hole, and that would be that would keep this orchid's root and media moist for about 5 to 6 days. So within a week, quarter cup of water in this container will be able to achieve that 1 week wet dry cycle very easily. In the winter time, I usually don't let too much water at the bottom, so it would just be once every 10 or 14 days per watering cycle, and then I keep it really exact amount, like no more than 1/8 of a cup usually. And here some photos of the secondary spikes coming out. Like I said earlier, it would likely give you secondary spikes, sometimes even tertiary spike. So just be patient and don't cut it off right away. Maybe cut, if you want to cut the flower spike, just cut at right after the first flower, and then keep the nodes, because sometimes they would give you additional flowers during the same blooming cycle. The medium or media I use is a mixture between manto clay and hydrocorn. Hydrocorn being the bigger pebbles, and the ratio is about 1:1. I usually get asked about, how to decide what kind of, or how big of a pebble I should use for this kind of orchids. Well, first of all, Tolumnia roots are extremely thin, so I tend to think that smaller pebbles are more suitable, because if you use leca beads or just pure hydrocorn, like the bigger pebbles, you either have to have a slightly larger container, or you'll have to keep your humidity high. Otherwise, you'll have to water this orchid all the time, because these roots are so thin that it could get too dry if you leave it too dry for too long, those roots would die. But if you keep it too wet for too long, they would rot. So I find that smaller pebbles, like the ones I'm showing in the video, those are most suitable because they're small enough, but yet it has enough air in between to allow aeration. Anywhere between quarter cup and 1/8 of a cup for this type of orchid is more than sufficient, and quarter cup being for the summer, springtime, and then as temperature drops down, you would want to reduce the water amount given to this orchid, and usually it's around 1/8 of a cup. And then fertilizer, quarter strength, that's what I give to most of my orchids, 99% of the orchids. So there you go. Hopefully this video gives you some insight about Tolumnia. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!